Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Mortgage Matters in Minutes. Again, I'm your host, Brent Rasmussen, with Mortgage Specialist Owner here. And apologize, we're running live here late. We're about a day behind, but with summer schedules, things get thrown for a wrench some days. And obviously, the title today is really strong. Emotions run high. And that's a very common way to say people are very stressed throughout the process of real estate. Generally speaking, in the summer months, though, obviously we have a little more time on our hand. We're doing more things, but also the emotions can run higher in the summertime because there's more activities to do. There's more things going on, and trying to get to all the events and all the activities makes it very stressful. So one thing we're going to talk about today is emotions during the real estate process. Whether you are purchasing a home or whether you're refinancing a home, most people want it to go as smooth as possible, right? Everyone wants anything that we hire to be done or we do or we go through. We want it to be easy, fun, painless. We don't want stress. We don't want ambiguity, uncertainty, all those different things. And just like emotions of excitement, anxiety, disappointment, frustration, anticipation, relief, contentment, all those words that we go through in life, those carry over into our real estate transactions. And there's very much preparation. I feel clients can be ready or educated about of where the emotional parts are going to be. And there's going to be emotional parts. If you come into a real estate transaction thinking that it's going to go perfect and smooth and no problems, I can tell you we've seen thousands and thousands of clients, and it's not that the real estate financing piece, the side that we do, is extremely stressful. The whole process of everything involved can be very high emotions, high stress, and very much anxiety on people. So we'd like to give you some of those points, and so you can be prepared a little bit for them if you are getting ready to go through the process. In that we feel we've done it so many times, we do have processes to set up to help people be informed and educated throughout the way so they don't have to go through those. But we're going to talk about 6-7 different stressful times that we see, or words of throughout the process that we want to bring to your attention. So the first one always is financing, obviously, is do I even qualify for a loan? Most people are anxious to buy a house, but they're nervous to even start the process because they don't want to be told they can't qualify. I can share with you, with talking to many, many clients, they feel that we have a little different of approach, of a more education approach, and guiding you and maybe saying, even if you don't qualify, here's what it takes to get qualified. And a lot of times that education is what people need a year or two before they're interested in even purchasing a home, because that's the time frame that some people need. They already did that time frame before coming and seeing us. So buying a house and waking up one day isn't always a thing that everyone can do. If you have everything put together, obviously, financing piece, I don't see to be stressful, but we see clients get very nerve-wracked and having to contact us and feel like they don't want to be told no, so they just don't even do it. And I would tell you that's the complete opposite. Is get a phone call with us, get an appointment with us. Let's sit down and talk about your financing and get you educated to any of the answers that you have. Point number 2 that's stressful is a competitive bidding market right now. And I've seen clients bid on 5, 10, 20, 30 houses and not get those offers accepted. That's very stressful, and that's very anxiety ridden, and the ups and downs of that and the disappointment after of not getting that property is huge. And I can tell you, the more that you understand that going into it, you might not have as many highs and lows. You're still going to have highs and lows. They might not be just as extreme. If you know going into putting an offer in on a property, there might be other people that are interested in that house, and the best offer generally for the seller is going to win. You might know going into it that maybe that the stress on your side isn't as extremely high. Another point that comes up of anxiety and stress and emotions is understanding the numbers and what to expect. A lot of times when we're putting together estimates of costs or people are looking at homes, they might not like the number to be what the number is. So they say, well, hey, I will bid lower than the asking price. Maybe I'll get that. Or maybe taxes won't be as much or insurance won't be as much. But I can share with you, even if you want to assume that emotionally that makes sense, logically, when it comes to it at some point in time in life, the numbers are what the numbers are, and you're going to be making the payments based upon those, regardless of emotionally what you want those numbers to be. Another emotional part of the process is just searching around for property and making a decision. You do go out to the property and you looked at three or four, and there's that emotional stress of which one is the perfect house for me. And I can share with you, while we've seen hundreds and thousands of clients come through our office, while every house is different, and everybody says they do find the perfect house, I can always tell you that clients and borrowers will turn around and state, hey, I like this part of this house, this part of this house, and this part of this house. Let's find a way to combine all three or four of those things into our perfect house. And that might not never be the case for anyone, no matter if you're building your own house or whatever, because it also depends on the lot that you're in, the location, all kinds of different variables that we might not have any control over. But understanding that it's not easy for anyone to make that emotional decision on what's the perfect house for me. Is this it? Is this the one I want to raise my family in? And that's going to come up. Knowing that in advance, obviously, and having those conversations can really bring the stress of the emotions down a little bit as well. Another emotional part of the process is the appraisal. The seller and the buyer are really worried about the price that we agreed upon. Is that really worth it? Is the appraised value really going to match what the sales price is that we both agreed upon? And I will tell you right now, people are very stressed about, overpaying for homes. But like normal markets, if we have a normal buyer and a seller and realtors working on both sides, we don't see appraisal issues. We only see it if people are trying to push the envelope with something crazy that they already know about going into it. And those are the ones that we might see an appraisal value come in. But that is a stressful piece, is that what happens now when the appraised value doesn't come in to what we want it to be for the transaction, and how does that impact my life and my pocketbook, or the seller or buyer walking away? And that can be a very emotional part of the process. So when that does happen, say an appraisal value comes in, we're back to negotiations and counteroffers. My gosh, those are really stressful in the emotional piece. As what's the seller want? Is the buyer really going to accept my counteroffer? How can I get what I want and the seller gets what they want? And that negotiations is, sometimes people want to play too hardball, and sometimes people play too nice. And hopefully, in my experience, I see using a realtor will give you thoughts and processes and ideas on putting in those negotiations and offers to hopefully get both sides agreed upon. And generally, that's the whole point. Anytime you lawyer up or realtor up or whatever, is that those minds are there to keep people moving forward a straight path. Buyers want to buy, sellers want to sell. Let's get this together on paper to keep everybody happy. The last couple that we run into are unexpected problems or processes or situations that happen along the way. I mean, anything and everything can happen. And no matter how much anybody can pre-plan for anything, rules are made to be broken, or are broken throughout process and time, where somebody doesn't know about something and it comes up. It is a legal process. The process of buying a house and refinancing is really a legal process. There's lots of issues that can go wrong. And if those issues go wrong, investors lose money, homeowners lose money, sellers lose money, and we are in the business of everybody being profitable enough to make this industry move forward. So understanding that there's a legal process, there's a lot of paperwork, and if for some reason there's not enough time to get that paperwork in, that could also be very stressful to your emotions, because you might not know, when am I able to get my property? When are we closing? When is the next step? And sometimes we're in this waiting game just because things come up that are outside of all of our control. And the more you can understand that, that's great. We're in a real estate process. Time is of the essence, meaning everyone is supposed to work as diligently as they can to move forward the paperwork. But I can tell you, our lives, our work, our vacation, our summer, our travel gets in the way of that. And if we miss a day or two of something in between there, it can delay the whole process. So emotional aspect I see is people pick a closing date 30, 40, 60 days down the road, and their whole life is based on that closing date. But if anything along the way were to change, that obviously closing date can be moved. And we've seen that in the summer months with people's work schedule and travel schedule, and unexpected schedules change. So obviously the last emotional aspect is getting to closing on time and expecting that, hey, when you want to move on that Friday at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. because you close at 8 a.m., that may not happen. And I'm not saying that happens very often. I just like to prepare anybody out there for the fact that just because you've written it down on a contract that we need to close at this time, there's millions of reasons and variables that can come up that could change that. And all of us in the industry work as hard as we possibly can to make sure we meet those closing dates. But if there's something I can't control, or a realtor can't control, or a title company or an appraiser can't control that's found out, that can cause the delays. So what we suggest to everyone, obviously, is pad yourself enough time. If you have to move at a certain time frame, start the process early. Give yourself a longer closing time. And I feel along the way, the longer you give yourself, the less emotional stress that you will have along the way. So again, here at Mortgage Specialists, we're all about educating you and being accountable to you, our clients, and our potential clients to get you the information that you need to make yourself have a successful process, whatever that looks like for you. So if we can be of any help, you can reach us out at 402-991-5153, or you can check us out on our website at mtg-specialist.com. And we can assure you we want to make this process as least stressful as we possibly can. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.